Hello, my miraculous friend, and welcome to another episode of the Magnify Your Miracles podcast. This is Reverend Frances Faden, and I'm so grateful that we get to spend this time together helping you magnify your miracles. Today, I'm going to be talking about something that I think is so important, how you can start to live a problem-free life. And I'm going to share 3 simple secrets with you that are going to help you to break the pattern of having one problem after another problem after another problem. Are you excited? I'm excited to share it with you. But before we get started, let's take a breath together so we can open ourselves up to really hear and receive what the universe wants us to know. We take a breath together to get ourselves all here at the same time, and we open ourselves up to receive whatever is going to move you powerfully forward. So knowing whatever that is going to help you to really magnify your miracles. Let's take one more deep breath together in gratitude, and we can begin. All right, my friend. Well, if you were anything like my private coaching clients, you probably have a lot of problems in your life that you wish were not there. And if you're anything like me, you've probably tried lots and lots of different things to not have those problems, only to have either the problems persist or to have maybe even more problems coming to you. And so we want to find out, like, what can we do? What can we do about this? I think that searching for the solution to problems is something that all of us do all the time, and with good reason, because we don't want to have more problems. But what if the thing that you're doing is actually causing more problems? What if looking for solutions for your problems is actually the opposite thing of what you want to do? So I'm going to be sharing with you these 3 things that I think are going to be really helpful for you. So in my private coaching practice, I work with business owners, I work with spiritual and creative entrepreneurs, I work with light workers, I work with people who are really here to do their sacred life purpose. And invariably, they come to me with a problem like, why can't I do this? Or how can I, or the reason I can't do this. Whenever I ask people, well, what's getting in your way of why you haven't been able to grow your business or whatever it might be? Out comes the long list of problems, right? And I'm sure you have that. I definitely have had that too. We have all the reasons why. And here's the thing. We have a habit of focusing on our problems, and we have a habit of really having them be in the forefront of our minds. So much so that when people start working with me, they start manifesting actually pretty quickly. And whatever they're working on, because we're working with your energy, giving you intuitive guidance, I'm doing what I do with people. When they act on that guidance, things start to shift actually really, really fast. And so I'll give you an example. So I have a client of mine who really wanted to have this workshop. And she had told herself for a long time, oh, I don't know if I can do workshops, all the reasons why, all the problems that come with workshops, right? It's like, oh, they're hard to fill. And what about the marketing? And I don't have anybody to help me and blah, 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 all the problems, right? Which we all do this. So when I was able to redirect her energy and say, look, if this is the thing you really want to do, put some energy towards the workshop you want to have. Move in that direction. She's like, okay. So she decided to try it, and she decided to go for it. And so she got a space where she could have this workshop, and she told her list, or whoever, her email list or whatever it might be, she told them about it. So the next time that we had our appointment together, we had our coaching session, and I said, how are you doing? How's the workshop going? And she was like, well, she's like, well, good, kind of. Oh, but Reverend Frances, guess what happened? I said, what happened? And she said, we sold more tickets than we have room for in the facility. The facility only holds so many seats, and I don't know what happened, but we sold more tickets than we can do. Oh, what am I going to do with this problem? And I said to her, oh my God, this is a happy problem. This is a happy problem. It's like saying, oh my God, I sold out Madison Square Garden and crying about it because there's not enough room for the people. It's like you sold more. This is a happy problem. But her mind was so used to seeing life through the lens of problems that even when good things started happening, she still started seeing all the problems that were associated with it. So here's the thing I've noticed: when you start working on yourself and you start going down the manifestation road, especially if you're trying to magnify your miracles, you're going to up level your life. But if you up level your circumstances and you still have the same mindset, you're going to see your life through that mindset. There was an old show that you guys probably don't even remember called the Beverly Hillbillies. It was an old show when I was a kid. It was in black and white, right? It's this family who was in Oklahoma or Texas or something like that, and they accidentally find gold in the backyard and they become, multimillionaires overnight. And they move to Beverly Hills and they have their old broken down clothes and their old broken down car, and they still go hunting for their food in the backyard. I mean, they basically moved into their circumstances with the same consciousness that they had when they had no money. So this can happen. You're starting to grow, you're starting to expand, but you still have a problem consciousness. So your mind is going to look for problems. So I said to this client, can you add a second day? Can you do something for these people that, maybe you're doing it in addition? Like, I started thinking of solutions because that's what people pay me to do. I find solutions for people. I said, what about this? What about that? And she's like, oh my God, I never even thought of that. I just started feeling panicky about, oh my God, I have to like give out all these refunds and what am I going to do? And like, and you can give out refunds, but even if you gave out refunds, this is still a happy problem. She said, no, I get what you're saying. I get it. So the first thing you want to do is you want to start asking yourself, is this a problem? Or am I looking at it like a problem? Is it actually a problem? Now, I know you're probably saying, oh, Reverend Francis, I've heard this before. I've heard people saying, rather than saying I have a problem, say I have a challenge so that, I make myself feel better. And yes, there's a little bit of that in there. But I'm actually saying to you that if you can shift yourself from having problem consciousness, you're going to start looking at things differently. If you start looking at things like, how is this amazing? How is this my miracle? What else is possible here? And start asking yourself those kinds of questions. I'm not telling you to camouflage your feelings and pretend that something that's awful is okay, because sometimes that's what people are telling you. I'm not saying that. I'm saying to start asking yourself a better question instead of, oh no, what am I going to do with all these extra clients I have? I'm like, oh my God. This happens a lot with my clients. They'll say, well, what if my practice is full? Then what do? I'm going to have to turn people away. Say, no, then you get a waiting list. I'm like, oh, I didn't think of that, right? Because we tend to focus on problems. So the first step is to go from problems to happy problems. It's still problem consciousness, but at least you're recognizing that this is a happy problem. And then you can start shifting into, is it even really a problem? Is this really a problem? Or is this a product? Is this evidence that my life has changed? Is this, for example, if you get a brand new, beautiful car, but it needs like a special kind of gas and it needs a special kind of like maintenance or whatever it is, and you have to go to this special place to get it maintained, you can look at it like, oh my God, taking care of my car, it takes all this time. Or you can be like, oh my God, because I have this beautiful car, I get to go to this special place to take care of it. It's all in your mind. Now, the second thing is especially true for women. So women, I'm going to ask you to really lean in and listen. And some men probably might have this too. If you want to start having a problem-free life, it's very important for you to stop having your self-esteem be based on solving problems. Did you hear me? If you want to stop having problems, it's very important that your self-esteem is no longer dependent on how well you solve problems. Because if you feel better by solving problems, you're going to keep having problems to solve. A long time ago, I was working with somebody at the very beginning of when I was working with people. And I went, this lady, she was a massage therapist. And I might have told you guys this story before, but she was a massage therapist or something like that. And what she really wanted to be was an artist. She was an amazing artist, but she just had this story of like, I can't do that. I can't make money being an artist. That which she would tell herself all the time, I can't make money being an artist. And so she chose something else. Actually, I think she was a graphic designer. I think I was the massage therapist. I don't remember what was happening at the time, but I remember her telling me that part of the story of like that she just couldn't let herself be an artist. And yet she was putting out fires all day long and she was creating waste. And so when I went to her house and I saw some of what she was doing, she created all these little devices and little things. And she was using her creativity because it had to come out somewhere. And so rather than giving herself permission to be an artist, she just created all these problems so that her creativity had a way to express itself. Isn't that kind of sad? It was genius, but also kind of sad. And I was like, oh, honey, you can totally do that. You can totally make money with your art, but she just didn't have that belief. And so she kept looking for problems. So many women, we get our self-esteem from helping other people, from solving problems for other people. A lot of us even get paid a lot of money for being problem solvers in a business or whatever it might be. And if you have your own business, maybe that's what you do is you solve problems for people, which in and of itself is not bad. But if you need to do that, like you're afraid that your self-esteem, people aren't going to value you if you're not solving problems, or you're afraid you're not going to be able to make any money unless you're solving problems, you're going to keep attracting those problems because the universe, it's vibrating to where you're vibrating. So it's not going to say, oh, let's only give her problems at work, but we're not going to give her any problems at home. It's just hearing, oh, she likes problems. She thrives on problems. Let's send more problems. And so I want you to kind of check in with yourself and be really honest. You don't have to tell me, but I want you to be really honest and check in and be like, is that part of how I'm getting validated by helping people by solving their problems? When I do that, do I find that like I'm a little nervous if I let go of that identity of being the problem solver? You can still help people with their problems, but it's the attachment to it, the need to have it, that keeps those problems going. Now, I'm going to share a third thing with you. And there's a book I'm going to read just from this book. This book is called Happiness is Free by Lester Levinson. And it's a really fascinating book. I have it on Kindle, so I'm going to read my Kindle for you. And so somebody asks him a question. How do we get rid of problems? And Lester says, the moment you say, I have a problem, you are stuck. You are making it real. You can't get rid of the problem because you are making it real. You've got this problem. And the person says, so if when we have problems, we say, there is no problem at all, will they vanish? And he says, no. If you say there is no problem, they won't vanish because you're saying there is no problem. You're mentally holding the problem in mind and therefore sustaining it. Erase the problem from your mind. Know that everything is perfect and the problem is necessarily non-existent. So how do you do that? Erase the problem from your mind. So as soon as we put energy into the problem, we get more problem because whatever you pay attention to expands, right? What you focus on tends to expand. So if you're focused on problems, you're going to get more problems. It's one of the reasons why I've been fasting from news and negative things. I still get information from sources, but I'm not like focused on it because the more you focus on something, the more you're going to get whatever that is. And if you're focused on negative things or problems, you're going to get more of that coming to you and more in your awareness. So what is the solution? You know the solution, especially if you're doing the Magnify Your Miracles journal. The solution to the whole thing is to focus on what you want. Focus on the outcome that you're desiring. So rather than focusing on the problem and trying to really figure out the solution, which is really focusing on the how. And I tell my clients, how is not the way. You don't want to focus on the how. You only want to focus on that end. You only want to focus on that end. I've told you this before. This beautiful client of mine who was just starting working with me, and I love this story because I think it's so powerful. When I said to her, I really want you to focus on that end result, she's like, well, I need a new car, but I have no idea how that's going to happen. I said, I don't want you to focus on how it's going to happen. I want you to focus on what you really want. And I want you to do this so that you prove it to yourself. She's like, all right, I'm going to try it. And so she just like, well, if I can have anything, this is what I want. And she said, I want an SUV, and I don't really want to go look for it. So I want it to be driven right to my front door. And she laughed when she said it. She was like, how's that going to happen? Right. The next week, she said, you'll never believe what happened. And I said, I bet I will, because this is what I do for a living. I hear this all the time. I bet I will believe it. She'll say, guess what happened? She said, out of the blue, quote unquote, out of the blue. This is what people always tell me. And nothing is out of the blue. Everything is out of you. I want you to remember that. She said to me, my brother just decided to give me his SUV. He decided he's going to buy a new vehicle and he's going to give it to me. And he's driving it across country and he's going to just pull it into my driveway. I said, that's exactly what you said you wanted. She's like, it is. I'm having a hard time believing it. I said, I know. This is why I'm trying to help you, because when we manifest these things, our mind tries to talk us out of it. Why? Because we're used to having problems. We're not used to being in the end, living in the end. This is what Neville Goddard says. This is what Wayne Dyer says. This is what everybody who has said whatever, who has tried to help people say, live in the end. The end is where there's no problems in the end. So no matter what you're dealing with, no matter what's going on in your world, it might seem like a stretch to live a problem-free life, but it's actually not. As soon, and we can even just let go of the word problem. It's like, what would a problem-free life look like? It would be a life of joy. It would be a life of peace. It would be a life of harmony, right? So if we want to be living problem-free, let's let go of the problem and focus on living an abundant life, a joyful life, a harmonious life, or whatever you want life. That's the answer. So those three keys, what did I say? Those three things are, the first step is to recognize that when you're making shifts, your consciousness is going to go with you. Now you have happy problems, but then you want to start asking yourself, is this even really a problem? Is it? That's the first step, where you start recognizing that what you're encountering now is actually evidence that you're shifting. It's not a problem. So that's the first thing. The second thing is to let go of needing to have problems to solve, needing to get validated and have your self-esteem come from having problems. That's the second thing. And then the last thing, as Lester did, is just let go of thinking about it and put your attention on what it is that you want. Those are my three simple secrets for you. I would love to know if this resonates with you, and if you have found that when you let go of problems, the problems seem to let go of you. I'd love to know more about that. Now, if you're somebody who needs some help with this, if you're looking for a coach, I would love to help you. You can just go to francesfaden.com/miracle meeting and let me know if that's something that you're wanting to do to really change your life and, to have a problem-free life. I can show you how to do that. I can show you how to manifest whatever it is that you're really wanting to manifest in your life. If you know anybody who would really appreciate this, please share this with them. Social media or your friends or however you share. I so appreciate it. If you can leave me a review, that would help me out so much. But please remember, my friend, that the key to magnifying your miracles is knowing your miracle's already here. God bless you, my friend. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.